ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्.
Exception handling in Java. Okay, Java has introduced a unique mechanism. You can't call it as unique, but a very excellent mechanism of handling exceptions. So first of all, we would start with what are exceptions, what do they do to our programs, how our programs handle them, and how are we supposed to use this mechanism in Java. Okay. Now suppose you write a code. Your boss comes and tells you that please create a program in which you would be expecting, or you would be taking numbers from command line arguments, okay, and you would be doing a division operation or a multiplication operation or a addition or a subtraction operation. Okay, so you have to create a class called as maths. Okay, now in this maths class you have to define 4 methods. One would be add, the other would be subtract, third one would be multiply, and fourth one would be division. Okay, this is your maths class. Now, in order to use these methods, what you need to do? You need to create another class called as test, or in this class you should have your main method. In this main method, what would you do? You would create a object of maths class, and on that object you would either call add, subtract, multiply, or division. Now, what are these 4 methods going to do? Add method is going to add 2 numbers, subtract is going to subtract it, multiply is going to multiply it, and division is going to divide it. Now, in order to perform these operations, you need 2 numbers, correct? So the signature of these methods would be what? Add is taking 2 numbers, subtraction is taking 2 numbers, multiplication is taking 2 numbers, and division is taking 2 numbers. Okay? Now, in this application of yours, the numbers which you are passing, okay, should be what? Should be coming from your command line arguments. I hope everybody must have done the string class, so they should know that whenever you accept command line arguments, you get a string. Now you need to convert that string into an integer, double or float or whatever numbers you are going to use. Okay, you need to convert it into a typical data type and then call these methods add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Okay, now let's just do this. I want to show you what is exception, when does it come, and all that stuff. Okay, so we'll quickly create a class called as maths. So let's go new Java, and we will create a class called as maths. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Maths. Okay, now in here, instead of typing the entire thing, I would have only 2 methods. Let one be add and the other be divide. Okay, so I would have one method add, public int add. Okay, and add is taking 2 integers. Let's make it very, very simple. So int a and int b. What is this method going to do? For the body of this method, you are going to return the addition of these 2 numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to say return a plus b. Very simple. We have declared a class called as maths, and we have declared one method called as add, which is taking these 2 numbers and returning the addition. Okay, same thing we'll do for your divide method. Public int divide, int a, int b. Okay. Now I'm going to return a divide by b. So now you have written a perfect class. There is no fault of yours as a programmer to write this particular class. If you are giving these two numbers, operations are going to be performed on these two numbers. Okay, now just save this class. Okay, now we'll quickly create another class which has got a public static void main. Okay, so I'm saying file new and I want Java. So class as test. Okay, now I said that command line arguments, I'm going to tell the user whatever numbers you want to add, pass them as your command line arguments. Okay, so I'm going to say maths m equal to new maths, create an object of maths. Maths m equal to new maths. Okay, that's good. You have created an object, and now you have to take input from where? From your keyboard, okay, as command line arguments. So first of all, since your add method is taking integer, you cannot pass a string. So first you need to convert your string into an integer, and look at the way how we are going to convert it. Say int x equal to arg of 0. Args of 0. Args of 0. Okay. Now this parenthesis you've got to keep in mind. Now what are you doing? You are accessing an array. So you want 0th element of your array. So you won't give parenthesis like this, but you would give that as of an array. So we would like to delete it and make sure you're giving square brackets. Okay, yeah. Now do that for your arg1 also. Int y equal to args of 1. Correct. Now save this as your test.java. So we have test.java. Okay. Fine. Now what we need to do, we need to call a method add with these two parameters. So I'll say m.add and pass x and y. m.add, pass x and y. Okay, m.divide, x and y. Now since they are giving you an integer, okay, these methods are providing what? These methods are providing you back a return value. Okay, so you need to print the return value also. So just give it as system.out.println m.add. So we are directly printing the value which they are going to return. Okay, do that for system.out.println for division also. Yes, system.out.println m.divide. Good. Okay, now save this. Okay, now let's compile our maths.java as well as our test.java. Now according to you as a programmer, what have you done? You have created an excellent method which has got, excellent class which has got two methods. One is add and the other is divide. You would pass two numbers to add. Your method is going to add those two numbers and give you the result. You are going to pass two numbers to divide. The divide method is going to divide those two numbers and give you the result. In the main method, what are you doing? Creating an object and calling add and calling divide. Okay? No problem at all in the application. It's going to run perfectly fine. Now, okay. Yeah, you've got to convert it. Sorry, we just cannot do like this. This is wrong actually. You should do, see, you're saying string please get stored into X, string please get stored into Y. This is not the thing, okay? You need to convert your string into an integer, and how would you do that? with the help of your method parse int. So say integer dot parse int, integer dot parse int, yeah, and pass arg0 as an argument. Correct. Okay. Here also you would say integer dot parse int, so now if you compile, it would run perfectly fine. Let's hope so. Correct. Now we are going to run this application, Java test, and let's pass two numbers which would be 4 and 2. Enter. So first your addition was getting called, the number was 6. Then your division was getting called, that was A divided by B, that is nothing but 4 divided by 2, the answer is 2, here you got the number as 2. Okay, now run the application again and give it as 2 and 4. Now your answer over here is 6. Addition, no problem at all. But now when you are dividing 2 by 4, what would be the answer? 0.5. And since it is an integer, we are going to not consider decimal as a part of the number, and that is why we are going to only print the mantissa, which is 0. Okay, now this is slightly wrong, we should have taken a float for division. Okay, we can change it later. Now give one more, Java test 13, 14 or 13 and 26. Again addition, number would be 0 over here because you are dividing 13 by 26, which should be again 0.5. We'll do one thing, we'll change it to float, so that, yeah, over here return type here say float, public float, yeah. So let's compile our maths. Maths.java, because we changed in maths, so we need to compile maths. Now test.java. Now give it as 4.2, Java test 4.2, enter. 6 and 2.0, which is fine. Java 2.4, okay, 6 and 0.0. So now we were actually getting 0.0 as we were trying to divide 2 by 4. 2 divided by 4, what answer do you get? You get it as 0.5. But we said the return type should be float. In that particular case, we were getting as 0.0 again. Why we were getting 0.0 is because whenever you divide any number based on what is the data type of divisor, the answer what you get would be converted into that data type. Okay, so we are saying that whenever int is getting divided by int, we don't want the answer in int, we want the answer in float, and that is why we typecasted it to float. Okay, so now if we run our application, which would be javac maths.java, because we changed in our maths class, javac test.java, and then we would run our test. Now according to us, we have done everything for maths class to run. Okay, we are thinking our class is perfect, and now nobody can say our class is malfunctioning, or there is an error because there is an error which occurred because of a class. Nobody could say that. If they are saying that, we would say, you are only not doing it properly. My class was running perfectly fine. Now we will have different combinations again. Now you give choice, or you give number of your choice. Okay, say Java test, give anything. 1, 2, 3, 4 divided by 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 space 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So this is the addition of the number. This is the subtraction of the number. So I can say maths is perfect. You can use maths anywhere. Now run the application again. Okay. And give 0 and 3. Now what are we trying to do? We are trying to divide 0 by 3. Or you can make it reverse also. You can give 3 and 0 also. Make it as 3 and 0. 3 and 0. Enter. See what is the answer we are getting? 3 and infinity answer we are getting over here. The answer infinity we are getting because return type was what? Return type was float. So if you try to divide anything by float, answer would be infinity. Okay. But now here, just type Java. Okay. And say test. And give 3, 0.0. Or don't give this, okay. We saw the answer was this thing. Okay, give ABCD. So what am I trying to do now? I am saying that this is 3 and I want to add 3 with ABCD. Okay, now hit enter. It gave me an error. It gave me some error called as number format exception or whatever. Now, what is the problem over here? I was claiming that my class is working very fine. It is nobody can say that my class is not working good. Even if you give 0, it is not going to throw you an error and it is going to tell you that answer is infinity boss. I cannot divide it by 0. So I had created a class which was foolproof. There cannot be any exception in the class, or there cannot be any error in the working of the class, because I had kept in mind all the conditions and written the class. But hey, wait, when you were writing the class, what conditions you kept in mind? It can be int, it can be float, it can 0 can also come, and there can be divide by 0 also. So all these conditions you kept in mind, but you never got an idea that there can be an alphabet which is coming along, and you cannot convert an alphabet or you cannot convert a string into a number. So now here I got an exception which is telling me that see boss, number format exception. Now please, whenever we are doing exception handling, it is very, very, very important for a programmer to understand what is the exception. Now basically I have seen many people who would just look at the screen and say, hey, error aa gaya, error aa gaya, error aa gaya. And they would not do anything. Arey, the program is giving error. But see, the moment you understand what the error is, the moment you understand which line is giving you the error, half of your error is solved then and there. So it is very important for a programmer or a person who is doing his computer science to understand or to read the exception, understand the exception, and know which particular line is giving him that particular exception. Okay? So here, when we were running this program of ours, test, there was a condition which was not satisfied. Your JVM told that, see boss, I cannot convert this, or I cannot resolve this particular issue. You are asking me to convert a string into a number. I cannot do this. Whenever JVM says that, see boss, I am unable to process this, I am unable to process this input, at that particular time an exception is occurring in your application. when you say an exception is there, or when you say your program is giving you errors, whenever your program is not working as you had analyzed, you say your program is throwing you an error or throwing an exception, or your program is giving you errors. Okay, so whenever you have to define an exception, you would say any erroneous code in the application which is thrown at the JVM is nothing but an error or an exception which stops the execution of the program. The program cannot continue further because he is not able to resolve something at some point. Okay, so whenever there is an exception which occurs, or whenever there is an error in the program which occurs, and the JVM says that, see boss, I am not able to do this particular thing, at that particular time, what happens is, your application says, or JVM tells to your application, I cannot proceed further, I need to stop your program, I need to stop the execution of this program and report that there is some problem in your program at the console or whatever your output is. Okay, and then your program comes out of the execution. Okay, this is very, very important, guys. Whenever there is an error which occurs, it makes, or the JVM forces your application to stop at that particular line, and it comes out from the execution. I'll show you an example. Go to the test. Achha, now before that, before showing you an example, let me show you what is an exception and on which line it occurred. Okay, it's telling me there is an exception in thread main. What is the name of the exception? The name of the exception is number format exception. Okay, now can you please scroll this? It is giving you some message also. It is saying for input string. Can you go back a little over here? Okay. For input string ABCD, can you see this ABCD? He's telling you that, see boss, I am giving you a number format exception for which string, for which number? ABCD. He is saying that I cannot convert this particular string into a number. String, he is even specifying the string. See, the beauty of Java, how beautifully it is designed. You are giving an erroneous condition. Whenever an exception is thrown, it is telling you the reason for exception. What is the reason for exception? See boss, you are trying me, or you are asking me to convert a string into a number. I cannot do that. That's why I'm giving an exception called as number format exception. Okay? Then you will say, when was I telling him, or which string did I give that he is telling me that he cannot convert it into a number? So he is giving you the string also. He is telling you for ABCD string, you are asking me to convert it into a number. I cannot do that. Now you will say, Arey, my code is 3000 lines. Now where will I search for this particular ABCD is getting converted into number, or which string I am giving at which particular point? How will I come to know where particular exception occurred? So he is telling you, don't worry boss, your JVM is a very nice guy. He will tell you what the problem is, where that problem is occurring. So he will tell you, don't worry boss, there is a class called as test.java. In this particular class, there is a number, or line number 7 is there, which is trying to convert a string into a number, and that particular line is giving you an error. So let's go back to our application test.java and see what this stupid line number 7 is trying to do. What is line number 7 trying to do? It is trying to convert argument 1 into integer. But what did we pass over here? We were passing 3 ABCD. So 3 was arg0, ABCD was arg1. So ABCD could not get converted into an integer. It gave you a number format exception. Now you will think, Arey, I did not think this at all. I should have kept in my mind that this can also be the condition which can occur. Okay, so I should have provided some mechanism in my application which will take care of all these things and it would not stop the execution of my program. Okay, and for you, there is a good news for you guys. It does not mean the class is going to end, I'm telling you. The good news is you have your exception handling mechanism. You have a way to catch these errors, to understand these errors, to resolve these errors so that your application should not stop executing. Because I don't know who said this, I think Shakespeare said this, the show must go on. Same thing, if you include your exception handling in your code, even though there is some erroneous output and you think that, okay, this part might give me a problem, I should handle this particular part, you can write exception handling code. I'll tell you what exception handling is all about. You can write your code, you can catch those errors, you can resolve those errors, and you will tell your application or you'll tell your JVM, see boss, you told me, no, this line is giving error, I have resolved the error, but please don't stop the execution of my program. Let it go on. Okay? So you don't have to start your main again. It will go on as it was supposed to go on. Now this particular point I want to highlight is, whenever an exception occurs, the execution of the program stops there. Okay? How would we depict this is, here, after maths or before maths, you can write it anywhere. Just write system.out.println hello world. So I need to tell you that, you can write it anywhere, that the execution of this has already started, but the error occurs at line number 8. Now it will occur at line number 8. The error occurs at line number 8 and this execution is there where it was. Your program, since an error is reported to the JVM, your program is going to come out of execution and you won't be able to see. Write one more line over here after line 8. Yeah, system.out.println by world. By. Yeah, it's okay. So we would be able to see hello world, but we would not be able to see by world, because where is by world? On line number 9. Where is your error which is going to come? It is on line number 8. So just compile it and run it once more. Okay, so now run it, Java, test, and anything, 3 or 2 and ABCD. Okay, now it's C. It printed hello world, but it did not print by world. Okay, an error has come and now the error is at line number 8 because we shifted one line. Okay, now we would see that how to catch these errors and how to handle these errors. So wherever you think that your application is depending on some kind of an input, or this is the code where your application can give problem. Okay, let's go to our test.java. Now we know that on line number 7 and on line number 8, these are the two lines, okay, which can pose a problem in my application, because you can enter anything over here. You can enter your numbers, or you can enter your strings, or you can enter your symbols, you can enter anything over here. Input is not in your hand, okay? Or if you don't want 0 also, you can check it over here, okay? If x is greater than 0, or if x is less than 0, or y is less than 0, or y is equal to 0, then don't pass x and y. Okay, it all depends on how you are assuming your code to be. So now we know that the main problem givers is this number x and this number y, or your arg0 or your arg1. These two lines can give you problem, otherwise your application is working as smooth as butter. Okay, so now over here I am going to say that see to you two lines, you are the culprit. So I am going to pack you into something called as try and a catch block. Try block is a block where you are supposed to write your error generating code. Catch block is a block where you are supposed to handle that error. Understood? Okay, or report that error. Now error handling, it depends how you want to handle an error. Do you want to resolve the error and go forward, or you just want to give a note to your admin that this was the problem and move forward? It all depends on how you want to handle the error. We would only tell the admin that, see boss, there was an error, we were not able to perform it, and we'll move forward with the execution of our application. Okay, so now we know that the error generating code is line number 7 and line number 8. So we would try and enclose them in a try block. Okay, look at the syntax of try block. How does it look like? Okay, so you've got to give try, a curly brace, end the curly braces. This is how your try block is looking like. Now, try block is always accompanied with your catch block. Okay, it's like your J and Viru ka jodi. Nobody can break them at all. So whenever you are writing a try, it is a rule that you have to give your catch block. So now look at the syntax of catch block. So we can say that whatever is enclosed in your try block is error generating code. Whatever is there in your catch block is error handling code. Okay, so catch, exception, E. I'll tell you what all these things is about. Okay, right now just see how does try and catch function, then I'll tell you why the catch syntax is like this. So now just write system.out.println. Hey boss, something is wrong. Hey, something is wrong. Just write here. So you're just telling your admin that, see boss, some code error and this something has gone wrong. Okay? Something has gone wrong in your application. Okay, fine. Save this. Now, the biggest question over here is, what would happen? Will the error not occur? Or if I am providing this error handling code, what great am I doing? Okay, would it convert ABCD into a number? No, this magical things won't happen at all. Error handling code is only there to report to your admin that, see boss, there was an error which occurred. Okay, and the most important point of your try and your catch block or your error handling mechanism is it does not let the execution of the program stop. Earlier what was happening, you used to print hello world and then there was some error, your application used to come out of your execution. Now what is happening is, because I know there would be a problem, I am saying that I will handle that error. Okay, now what happens? See, I start my execution, error occurs, I tell to the JVM. JVM says, hey boss, I cannot give this particular exception, I'm going to tell you to halt, don't proceed further. Then your program tells JVM, hey, I have got try and catch block. So if you are telling me not to stop or if you are throwing an exception at me, I can catch it. Okay, now you have that right that even if an exception is there in your application, you can catch that particular exception and you can move on. So now the JVM says that, okay boss, since you have your exception handling mechanism, I don't tell you to stop, you can proceed as you were proceeding. Okay, so now when we run our application, okay, we will have this line system.out.println hello world. Earlier also we had the same line. Now the error would again come at line number 9 because we would again give the same input 3 and ABCD, okay? Error is going to come over here. When error comes over here, your JVM is notified, okay? Now, how the JVM is notified? This is one very interesting story, so please listen it very carefully. What happens is, whenever an exception comes on any line, now in this case it will come at line number 9, okay? Now where is the exception coming? In the program. Why is it coming? Because of some reason. Now this reason is reported to your JVM, okay? What your JVM is going to do? Your JVM is going to see that this particular reason comes under which exception, okay? Listen very carefully, I'll tell you what all these things mean. Here you are going to give a reason that, see boss, he had given me ABCD, I cannot convert it into a number, see this is the problem, you will give it to JVM. JVM is going to see that, okay, this is the problem, yeah, I have an exception for this which is called as number format exception. So what I am going to do, this reason comes under this particular class. So I am means who? I am the JVM, okay? So what I am going to do is, I am going to create an object of that class, okay? Object of which class? Number format exception. There is a class called as number format exception, okay? So what I am going to do? I am going to create an object of this class. After creating the object of this class, the JVM is creating, okay? I am going to throw it to your runtime environment, okay? I am going to throw this exception back to your program and telling you, just like a ball, take this exception, okay? Now, I'm going to give that exception to you. If in your program, you don't have, it's just like a bomb, okay, not a ball. Ball is a very small thing. Bomb explodes, ball does not. So I am creating a bomb of exception and throwing at your program. Now, if you have the ability to catch that bomb, okay, you are saved. But if you miss that bomb from your hand and it falls on the ground, it explodes. It explodes and your program also explodes. Now, when the JVM is going to throw that bomb at me, I have got my military standing over here to catch that bomb. Who is the military? My try and my catch block. Understood? So now, when the JVM is going to throw an object of number format exception, I am over here to catch this exception. Now you will tell me, ma'am, you think we are fools? You are writing here exception E and you are saying that number format exception is going to come? This is the crux of the problem. Now remember, go back a little and remember polymorphism. What did polymorphism tell you? Base class reference can point to derived class object. Okay? So, I have the capability to catch or point to that number format exception. Because all the exceptions in your class or all the exceptions which are listed in Java are always or derived from exception class. Okay? All the exceptions are derived from this particular class. Now you would tell me, where is exception derived from? Exception is derived from a class called as throwable. It has got two subclasses. One is your exception, the other is your error. Confused? Don't get confused. In Java, exception is something different, error is something different. Exception occurs in your program because of your programming mistakes. Okay, now when your erroneous condition comes in your application because there are no resources, or suppose the input format is not correct, or the input which you are getting from some method is erroneous, okay? So all the errors or all the exceptions which comes because of your program would be classified or would be grouped under your exception class. Whereas when you are talking about errors, some things are not in your control at all. Suppose you are running an application and suddenly your heap becomes full. You run your application again, it would give you an exception, or it would give you an exception called as out of memory. You will say, "Arey, I have run my application only once, but why is it giving me out of memory error or your exception?" Then that particular exception which has come, which is not because of your application, but it is a systemic problem. It's the problem with your Java, it's the problem with your JRE, because here your garbage collector was not running properly, and there were too many objects collected on heap which were active objects, and you didn't have area, or you did not have your memory so that your application can run. There is no fault with your application. The problem is with your system. Okay? That kind of exceptions are grouped under error, or those kind of exceptions are called as errors, okay, which do not deal with your program but arise due to some other conditions of the system. Now suppose your application is running and the power fails, or the motherboard supply goes off. Whose problem it is? It is not your problem again. It is the problem of the system. Suppose you are trying to access some resource, okay, and that resource is not there only. Again, it is not your problem. It is an error. So please clear that doubt in your mind that exception and error is one and the same thing. Both of them are different. Exception is nothing but deals with your application or your program. Error is an exception, of course, but it is not of your application. It is because of the other factors which are either supporting your application or not supporting your application. Okay? Now, both of them derive from a class called as throwable. This particular class have subclasses, or this is the base class of your exception and error. Okay? We would stop over here only, and we will continue with our bomb story in the next lecture.